Now, someone get what is get on 28. So by to be a increase. They mean, what is get on? That's vast.
that number let me do us like it's I don't jump is I'm only
When let me do a like a more Pascal, I felt it. They seem to get that in clouds, then he could eat mackerel. You know, fish clouds, it's rain. Well, let's come up at you. Jared, always come on with Jared. Nothing goes on without Jared. Which I am sending them now. Posting, I didn't want to make new time. Andrea Crawford. I didn't want me to tear it.
Oh, Asia?
Facebook to be all up and kidding what post about what.
Put it down in line.
Oh, quiz breads on them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go. It's a lovely one. Should be done. What do we do?
Yeah, the school eating me go up. I go up, hey, well, shower, so I guess we know all daycare. When they ain't got a daycare, they go up. Oh my God, Miss Igna school, Oba, Miss Gee. Till Darcy did it made from the old daycare nigga.
Get the high.
Don't the high, they'll Darcy now.
Hello. Who that is that?
I like Miss Gee. Oh, Miss Gee, la school.
How's the culture?
One.
One?
Yeah.
One or two.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay, explain what this guy. All right. Mulana, Waltes tahan. Food. Did you love Waltes tahan? Did you well, what you store it to? Did you have a meat and my husband about Sakat bird that we mean? Ning kitchen that we mean. Now, what you mean, Sassy, Nanatia? Did you get a Hamadasik? A salary up with 3 days, took as a Hamadasik. Now, basking in this good, I guess you are basking in this is a privilege. Kapuchi, what a privilege. Now, I get him a hunk. Three days and near doing, yes, it's good in the Mulan. The only out neighbor do now. 5 up is a 5 down. Did you act this when I do? I must put armor. Till whether when we know down of armor, but I must put an armor with our arm. Now I gave it out down to you. The armor is into the scale. So I must put, you know, the must putting in mind games of fluentness, what you can say as this. So I was for this I did. Vamos para o nakado, a mede de sinki. No de de gem. Não tem lugar. Joanne, não lá de mina van cakes. Não, chicken top. O nakado, o nakado. Esse de que se conhece para aí. Aqui se go over to side with it.
Hi, sugar.
Did you kiss it, please? Parce que we did, que we get a piece of tappy to it. But they do side kiss go with it. Kiss a quiz, kiss near board. There's his point to neighbor don't. The mujetical. But a near baton, I know a nasis. Tabu near baton, like in a mulana. It's kind of this. She's near Badon, I guess we speculate. That way, you saw an old lady together. To you wake in a siege, kiss a whisk. I'm Sydney Swedish, because I'm not Swedish, I guess a whisk. Tabu little decims, Nanesutage. Kiss a whisk. Did you near David Daddy's negamo, I guess a poor baby. Kiss a poor, I'm a spouse Sydney Swedish. Is now when up pitch. Magis Beguis out. Beguis is fluent as that. It's no one nail. Was Punamana. Agaya giga toa, gaya biga duki la, kisugo was sweet. Na do you nige, there's no doing, and optimism never come much. Ta budin des needis, nenesisco. Si still des idi, I don't know, begui saddle kisuguis, cotton, begui some with kisugo. 5 you know. And a 5 na did out the dam, come over ya. A commis coming 5 dal about it. But dan days a beggy si don't take it up snow on him, and the name of Wajadas in Adia. About Kitamin, town and neighbor. Chance we do sit when the neighbors of Kisukuopa, Peguada. Now get up, chance me to done. 5 tell about it, Nigge, Negam 2 Dutch, na 10 tell about it. To that days will come out to the So, could they go a key 10 to this up with that 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's Nimix it, he's up. Take Reggie about Kitten. He's got 5. I noticed it 6. Disagrees got stick 12. 13, 14. And we do an idea of these. It's a war, and the episode of Tajida. And do we got a week walk that it. And I do you Marayaka. Is it never looking near? Near Tennis number. Ni never to one maintain. Tabu never to one, and Asis Krigata. Asis could never to one Kamata. Come away, never to do. But to Buga. Because you died with Mammy, you just sick up to come a mamma. But then I say never to make a mentasi. Nigella 16 till optical. Mojito. Achlades 4 till the optic point. 16. When you get 5, 15 till optic 16 nigga. So Kisuguis a point a 16. You know? Because you get a point when you get 3 at the optic 4 till optical. So about get with you get 12. You know, 12 come Mojito.
Once what I died when the Kizigris to that, and I'll have a Kizigris, and I can visit the other Kizigris.
Kisuke, Yamuko is one of mine. They still Kisuku Natis. But then I say, I have a Kisulan. The Hodesi was Kunamaya. The Honeba to come away, the Marquis Hamada, who de Bascova Hamada, who is neighbor to come away. Amuspa. Na tuju amus baba ketuitis klamakis hamadas. Tijuana de la dutis na tuju paspemi ang quadutis kiso weskunemen tebia tuju hamo. But ni usually was about kita. So next time is hamadas. Ako kanu. Paya reading na iladi yan to kuni eskunemen na liye na pastel iladi yan 2, 3, 4. And you never come that neighbor to come when it is Hamadas. But Allah the skimmies coming in Bamun, Ella with past 7. Kaya bank to the Manda. The Skunama neck up, about Ella with 7. I do you give Muxiama, arm and kill into the ski.
So, guy, you want to
Kagu will be piano more, but no legatus, because put man.
I mean, I would lay on
Legend.
Agis
Lego, Nikis Lego.
Oh, okay.
He said, Kiss a go up, no day, Camus, na 7. Kiss a go up, a book, a commotion, na 7. And still be market, 7. Hey, Cisco, a mine, kiss a go up, 6. Ik dat wordt 7, dan is later with win 4, 5 dat wordt ik later with 4, come 6 na meeste, no ik kan niet door 5 van later. En dat is ook dat niet meer niet. We gaan niet zien op dat gaan, we gaan bij panem kijken, dan ik na moet zeggen kijken, en dat wordt maar gewoon, wat denk ik? Dus je werkt toch zo te zeggen, 5 later met 5, maar ik kan niet door 5 is later. 6 na dan. So, so tami sige liam, have been piru kitchen, But me,
There's Waltes on this one.
just keep them now. Yeah, go after what you do. Yeah, when deputy will sit. Jerry. When deputy will sit, came here.
So Madeline and I don't mind.
So how do we again? Can't you know the book sees of it? Summer games.
Wala picture karo.
How kitchen the worm, Tampos went, kiss my kitchen the worm, Town and kiss canoe to my husband, get it. Come on, did that how kitchen up.
One in bad.
Huh?
That would be one in bad.
But I'm bust done.
Senari kilo. Hey, jagi sikit Jawa ada skill. That's why
You play
Okay, dat ga je niet.
Ja.
Ja. See, still
That's the only way you're going to
this side, we begin. This is all big side, we begin. Did you wrap it for everything? No, we're not Whoa, give me that nigga.
Na may gumako eh.
Makoy na mo.
How come?
How much Aman. But there's one how much for Aman. Mali amin this side. Aman. 6. What did you walk this time you stood? Right.
Oh.
Chừng nào we go up there this one here.
Three.
Jadi ama jadi kayak benar. Bakal, lagi dah sini nih, boy. Pacawan pasti kan nih.
Oh, I see this.
Secret weapon. Yang mati
Winter carnival.
But yeah, but we saw it. He said, don't you think we guy go? Allora, del tabuco, ciao.
Get all in
Ja, det vidt. Du så spiller det lidt sukker.
Hi, Joanne.
Okay, it's not gonna. You get this neighbor one, okay, got it. You got it.
All right, though.
Come home. Acquainted. When you get them all face up on here town, you get no lady.
You already got one.
Oh, almost. Well, it's a very Madeline, kan Marianne?
Oh, nee.
That's worried, not it?
Oh, it's so far. What is it? What's going on?
Well, they go and test to go treatment here. They go and treatment, it's not go and test. It's not, basket.
Ôi, anh đi tàu đó trip thôi.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, big.
Guys are collecting firewood.
Yes, put it. Yes, put it. Oh, there was another roll in. Get to the door, guess good is gone. Oh,
That's cool.
and maybe you can, is your maybe the other eyes. Is go up. Is not smart, is one kind of this. I don't maybe if you lift it again, then I have a chance to get it back. And if I get it, then it'll be doubled.
So mo na one.
It's up to you. I can't tell you what to do.
Mo na one.
Yeah. And I'll pay you
Joanne
for it.
has to pay you.
I'll pay you extra, the 5 points for it. And whatever you gather. So 6 points.
Okay, that's good.
It's up to you. But if you lift it, then I have a chance to get it back. And if I get it back, it'll be double. You'll have to pay me double.
There's a rock and a hard place.
Hi.
Hi, Joanne. How are you?
Fine. Both sounds.
Glue button.
And if I don't get anything, you still get paid for it.
That's up to you. Okay, I'll take it and I don't touch that. Huh?
Okay, just pay your...
No phone.
Where's your animal? Get ready. Oh, yes, Niani. I can't go away. Get to do it, though. Oh, big. Oh, big. Oh, big. Nakamata. Yeah. But I had to up after this, I double lang twice. If you don't see how I see someone, Muna si wanjib tu siya wala si so. Hapin siya so. Then I was acting nice. Me. Oh, we go study now. We go study. There's point neighborhood. God, you know neighborhood here. Tamen team and you know. Okay? I kept it as it. Where he does.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9.
Oh. What now?
Hey.
Oh, yes, it's good. Oh, that was there, what's today? Oh, big. See how big. Madeline. Oh, kita batte mene. Siapa? Wow, thank God. I had too much to lose. I know. Now one. Oh well, one is. Going to do very does it.
Challenges.
Archie. Knock them out. No more though. Take one out. What's good now? Die. Oh yes, smell it. Oh.
Okay, I got one on the side.
Okay, take that one. going. So? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Abad nasa.
Oh, swell.
You got one?
Oh, keep going. Share wide, share wide. Yeah. Oh my God. Do the money.
Isa ka Joanne share ka niya.
Yeah, basta siya edu ginwada.
Look check it is Amos.
You gotta ask for payment after He's una aduan ni. He's into the month. Mas pwede is tabugo gumuji. Mas palalo ko. Okay? Check it. No. Yes. I do.
Give one
You want mine and she wins.
point cinnamon.
Now one.
Okay.
Two.
6 na ba?
6. 3. 4. All you need is one.
Magkano mo pinamang?
All you needed was one. Even though I had 4, all you needed was one. Because I was dancing for that 6 points.
Where's your water bananas?
I only got to 4. See, it's interesting. Yeah. That's why I let you beat me. Oh well. That was a good game.
Next.
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 Jenny, so I gotta keep challenging till I get knocked off.
Mary.
Mary?
No, Val's gonna play.
Val's gonna. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Immersion. Let's go, Immersion. Mary.
Mary?
No, I'm not. Valerie, do it.
Oh.
Let's go, Immersion.
No, challenge Lazy Town.
Yeah, Lazy Town. Lazy Town. Okay.
Let's go Lazy Town.
How sugar? We have to sugar. You got extra room?
No, a nickel. A nickel. They're right there on the table.
Eh, ako na ba?
Okay.
Eh, puso, giswato.
For you? I think I have 4 there.
Each have
Okay. Here go one, but taking one.
This all do it. You got 3 up.
Okay, you had 2 points straight, so you get 3 points. That's only when you get it twice in a row.
3 times in a row now.
Is it good?
Point, but since about could be only just going to 6 seconds.
Interesto. Bang, bang, bang. What happened? What happened?
I don't know.
You can't lift it? Is it too heavy? Okay, now. Di ba yan? Kumain ha? Chance mo ha? Isisibuhin ha? Sabi ba rin ganyan? Dahil, bagwan mo ka, diba? Amus pa na wala kaya ala. Methodiscal. Okay. Opo, sige na mo. Slim. Nenda gadget ko. Pinapin test ko. Now, let's knock on it. Oh. Okay. Naniya 3. Kabugo. Naniya pisno ka na naman. You guys are gathering wood.
No, she had 3 in a row.
I know, but I gave her 3 already. Did you? Yeah. And then I took 2 more, put it over there. Okay?
How do you
Now
mix
they're
up
1
with
each.
the firewood? How do you?
Both of you's gotta collect. Each time you get a point,
You
yeah.
guys didn't use firewood.
Where did you put
Yeah, you
these?
guys did.
Huh?
Why did you put these 2 here? That's because I got that
That's-
3 times?
Yeah, and I already put 3 over here for you. So it goes as 5. So you have 2 more, so I took the 2 and put them for your firewood. Okay? So both of you are collecting. So if you get a point, I'll put it here. And if you get it, I'll get it.
Oh, yo.
And the only way you'll get the old man if they're all face up or all face down. And the only way you guys will learn how to count is when you count for yourself. You know, because you gotta keep asking. Huh? No, because you'll be asking. That's the point. Okay, where's my 6? You know, that kind of thing. Oh, Elmi Bida, you got a chance to get it.
You got one chance to lift up.
Oh.
Get all down.
Oh, okay, near 5.
5 and 3.
Okay, 5. Pasal kimut 3 or 3 mo dai ji ni.
Would you kind of really want to take it? What is in my name?
5.
Championship game.
Yeah, locked down. We walked at you. Down when point neighbor, then you never do some key point the garden. Neighbor don't let up maintain. Okay? Yeah. Oh. I'm going. Masado tunche. Kede keju. Can replay it below.
Okay, 5.
And again,
Should long.
3 times in a row.
There. To do 4, his mount them and la. Then you 4 sticks, because he got on that side. His mount them great point to jido. He's not his man kim tala. So, green if you had like this many sticks and this. Dola negam nasty gala. So, Mawario always, his man kim, his state. Oh, yeah, that's okay. Okay. Well, yeah, go again. Oh.
There's only one pile of wood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 16, who did you do?
Good game.
Jerry?
Ah, si do?
Nada, visst.
Si do? Challenge Joanne.
Gau jättemycket.
Oh. Apa? Ang sagilin mo agad. Gusto na mawin. Next one. Patawin ka. Kamuoy na nasa lagi ka.
Down. Wow.
Dili mo digi. Pero gunti. Nebat.
write up the
No, Kelly.
Live streaming.
That our chest? June? Where to go member to the How is that? Double air mark? Please.
Kuya Auntie Jo?
Guess who do we know? Yeah, so.
Wala. Ako man daw beef steak.
Lagi mo di mas
Na? Daw beef steak mo. Oh well.
Lagi mo di mas ito. What's wrong with this? Right? Summer games. So, bye.
So hawa ko may bugat liya.
Yeah, I'm sitting. Wow, wala pro.
Wow.
Yeah. Aba, I know sila. Oh yes. Hello sa lagi ito. Yeah, come. Meu bulo sa lagi. Eka, sambang na sa ano niya. Hindi niya ba? Eka, chui ko, mabendi ba de gala, makamu. No, mente ma de gala kai ko, tumemga puguwa ko. Okay, dabu galiga. Hindi niya man, sige na, ini bisa cepat kado. Oh, ini baru ni.
That's how you guys do it.
Hello?
Vamos tomar uma isso. Limula. Imagine when it Five up, five face down at the point.
Was it like that?
No.
No, it was one.
Oh, okay. That's why I have to let you guys tell me when there's a point. Yeah.
One is.
Oh, yes.
Who's running out of points? You. What was that? I was.
Okay, there you go, you got it.
Those were yours.
My fire was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, get some more.
Get that. I
You only
need
got
fire.
one. You only got one.
I only had one?
Yeah.
We walked on the honor.
Okay.
In a firewood. We walked on the honor.
Get some more. Oh,
Piece
now
of
you're.
wood. Put some water on it.
Well, she's putting it out on you. She lit her own. There it's gone already.
These are good things. Yeah. Boy, never know.
She got one and one
They're all
for
down.
One and one?
One and one. They were all down.
Okay. Now point here badun. Point here badun kill. His lalu gada wala. But if you get them all faced up, all face down, then don't lift it anymore. And I'm only telling you once.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Two. Come on.
Yeah, just play it. Okay.
Oh,
you just put it down.
There's her.
Okay. Okay, into the money again. A little bit. Or if you want to continue and try to get that 1 point, one point, and just flip it, don't lift it anymore, because you won't have enough to pay with that on your head. But if you don't have anything like this, and then she goes, and then she not set up, then you're right back to.
But when you're here,
If I flip it now,
Lalo with her. She's gonna have to dance. Yeah. Eh, kohola dawin ik na dila lijig na. Nginem na dila digaya ni. Yeah. For jigway ne. What? Flip it. Okay. Okay. Oh, these are yours. Away.
You're dancing, you gotta throw the dice. You gotta get 6 points before she gets 1. So when she's ready.
Okay, no tasty, claro. Sugar no there. 6 points, huh?
eh? 7.
7.
Hey, that was
1 stick, you gotta dance 7.
Go like this.
I'm up on 7. Okay?
take it chubby.
Okay, this 3 times is still out again. 2 more times. Mena gala hajay. Isn't it? That one. Okay, ilang call niya. You can put your mouth face down or all face up. It's up to you. And then you lift it. That's one.
You need 1 point.
And your arm up. And there it is. All gone. Shake hands and. Oh.
With the lazy town?
Yes.
Lazy town.
Oh, yes, thank you.
You didn't get your point, you'd have to put that back and then hold it back.
Shake hands and see the okay, and then
That's why I used to go forever.
give her 9 stitches.
Challenging when I was a kid.
When I take her turn and there's a point, she takes the point.
Oh, so she gets 9? Three more?
Come on, lazy town.
Come on, lazy town. We are the lazy town. Kiss a grease.
Mama dada, dia mau okay, dah lah. Kalau lagi dah lah go ya, jangan.
Focus, focus.
We'd make him turn him in it. Sudah mada. Nah, wes wat doen ook? In my lamps. Kespoed waar aan ik maar sudah mada. Ik. No, not at this time of the game. When she's dancing. Only she can wave her hand over the dice until she gets 5 points. But after 5 points, neither one can wave. Neither one. Yeah, you never know. Then you 5.
Wait, no, either one.
After 5 points. 5, kisi ama, 5, kisi lalugan. If you dance 5 points, you can't even if you lift it and you had 5 points, and you got and they all went like this, that would have been 7. And you went like this, you're out. Even if you won, you're out. Because you win.
And you don't, not even to say you're going to shake hands, you stay away from that plate.
Yeah, Sabalugan, pasak aman, and 2.
From that to what are you
Voila, double paper.
What the start? Hold the big 9. Tell me what you had, Cindy.
There's 9.
Yeah. Oh.
Alla parli with your age.
What had that mean?
No,
Kiss a whisk.
my canal disagree.
Okay, maybe kiss a walk.
Dat is niet jagen aan week, na?
I know. We just let them win.
Ja.
Wait, is it one?
Kiss a walk. What you want to win? Now point to deck. This is go because a point 1. That's a point. Then you get 4 more points from here.
Like 3.
3, 4, 5. Then you get. That's your man.
Okay.
It's your turn. Oh, you did? But what's again?
What did I make? I made a mess.
Hello, Connie.
Ouch.
Hello, Connie. Come over in here, but we're near to the team. Come on.
Yeah, I just gotta get the trees.
Go ahead.
I'm at 5, eh? Wasn't it?
I'll let it take them up 4. There's a bucket doing. Kiss a whisk and 1 stick. Eh, me this is me. Eh, me this is me.
Wait, did you go?
Eh? So it's when the man. Menu of the uncle, the yakan, can be as easily with June. Lazy town, lazy town, lazy town. And Jam and the double Kurigada and me. Akamata.
Oh.
I'm just going to lazy town. About kidding, Damon makes it at a book of come over.
And that's the only.
Then they go 4 days, and then they go kiss a whisk and 1 stick.
So 3, 1.
Kiss a whisk and 1 stick first about the day.
Alright.
Did you Did you then they go 16 stick of what's going on? Kiss a whisk up. Okay, stick 16 days ago.
We can do that. I don't have her picture.
Did you then go up 8?
I can see if I can know that on this machine.
Good game, girls.
It's on my walkie.
But that they sit down and they look on them.
Oh my God. Come on.
Don't say that.
Kaya may wala pwede man. That's a club. They're here again.
2 o'clock.
Oh, 2 o'clock.
At 1:59. That's how it's 2 o'clock. Madeline?
Eh, do me last. But Bualin. Mariamu. Eh, kiri ka na. Ouch. Angela, get you here? So what's it to here?
Like this, and I like this.
Like this again, I. Left. Oh, the media, I need to see the thing. But it was a media.
Where'd you put
What is that? One time, I can't do the Mount Tierra. Did you know what is witchcraft, gambling? Club is out there, the book chapter, the Doji, yeah. You know,
Somebody else is gonna.
no, they do it.
Can you do this? Can you do that?
The wise is really dark.
And I'm pretending I don't have a.
I'm a caldo to come. He's the baby.
Okay, 2 o'clock me.
Eh,
Wat ga je doen als je bij de mij?
oh, als je bedoelt dat, dit is een strijd.
One.
Nee, dat is een strijd, dat moet je. Nee, maar dat kan doen. Want die gaat er aan strijd, wat ik kan geven. Want hij moet staan, die mag goed. What the hell's going on?
Ay,
I got it. Okay.
via.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Ingen vi går inte där då. Kisa kuis kun ik. Så och det kisa kuis ni nach nein, emoji. Ach nee, op dat. Hello, det var det get la det William Louise. Oh, man kan ikke watche det der med det bit nemlig. Ja. How's going on?
Bueno, hoje vai vir
Det der det bliver. Hvad det der igen?
Se Madeline, nej.
På se på at vi vil gå gå jeg går bare. Så når vi vil walk der det hvad til vi nemlig.
Det er ikke point.
Er det du har plads jeg har det lagt lidt.
Se Madeline, point.
Jeg tror ikke må jeg det. This is good. How long could we 5?
That was your money.
What? 5.
Come on, 1, 2, 3.
Pegou.
Cuidado. 4.
Tá lá ainda.
3. Anike.
Net?
Nee, op die garden. Wie go op dat. Je gaat daar. Ze zeggen dat ik een piet op de meteken. Heb je dat laten? Nee, niet dat je mag hè. Deze is de garden. Deze is cookies op. Op de benade. Hoe zat die gedaan? Dat was niet genoeg.
Ja.
No, ce l'ha tenuto ma no. Che dadi. Perché vi gue. A me di una categoria. Vamos esperar lá. Eu
Nee, point thinking.
Allora, ti dico adesso. Se ci viene, perché mi gue.
Doe je al, moet je iets zien, maar.
Kijk. Ce l'ha per me ai di la tu ne pit.
Wow.
Ja, nee, si ne va de ne, o tari so pa ya ne capite. Che, fuori. Ja.
Oh.
Walang sina, ne ta kamana. Hindi pwede makagamay. At ako ko hindi pwede makagabaw ni.
Ze moet niet kijk bizar worden.
Alda. Hindi evitina.
Sai un po' like this, ma.
Ito lahat ito na. Kaya kagisap kamada na. Pag ito kamada, ito ba ang iyala? So, padabi yan. Nanti ba niya minagandam niya minala?
Okay.
Isap mo ito o di mo ni?
Ah,
Ito, ito feeder.
somebody's enjoying what I want.
Ito, ito feeder in dus. Must be in a while.
One, 2, 3.
Three minado ko. Kasado ko lang. Okay.
Melt,
Mute.
dado,
Oh well.
melt,
Mute.
melt, dado.
Este modelo.
Precies. Oh,
Wat is er meer dan?
melt,
Mute. Mute.
melt,
Mute. Dabo. Amada yan.
melt, dado,
Dalone existe.
That's
Is up back?
3.
Met them wire.
But I met them on it. Did you think I was a mountain? This is doing up a mountain.
1. Double.
No.
Six.
3.
Look, they have an hour, haven't you? You put him not. Boy. Oh. Ah. Oh.
1.
Pretty.
Hey, Jack.
Come on.
Here.
Okay.
Hey, Jack.
Okay. Two-faced Darwin, I didn't think that Karen. This is a stocka. Sa mesi chica.
Double.
Here,
1 double.
one double.
1 double. 1. Nailed. Double.
Oh,
6.
3.
okay, here. Here,
Nailed.
no,
Nailed. Double. As een beetje de oren en ik double.
we're not doing it.
Keep the on.
Hey.
No,
As een nailed.
Kunnen ik op de radio gooien? Altijd.
Je komt op de radio doen, nog tell it.
Op de radio.
Niet dat trouble, niet galig, hè?
Wow, wel aan het zitten, joh.
Don't collect them.
Met tegen. Ze hebben gaan met dingen, met die wachten wie hier, ook een bergsterp. Tanko, maar dat.
Jawai.
Wel aan het zitten.
Just
Jawai.
Oh my god, I'm too much of a spot.
Hey.
I can't even put
I
it.
got 3 points.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
double. This
Amada.
one is double.
Okay.
Okay, kies into the madness, want
All right, don't do the mail. Wij doen de mij.
Nou,
Ja,
ga
heb je
mooi.
dat gegeven?
Kom op, weer. Daar is het wel. Oké.
Hoe laat je het lei?
Ja.
This is double, this one.
3,
Oh, she doesn't have one.
6,
Sorry, she'll.
9, 12,
Wat?
Zo wat kan je dan? Dat is.
This is double here.
Kijk je terug, is daar moet dat doen. Nou,
Double.
18 and 2.
let's do make it now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half.
Let me just.
Puruk sige.
Wie neem jij net?
Eh, juga baat lagawan de bisku de gane. Ini de siapa ni? Mau puasa ni.
Broken.
Yvonne?
Yes? Oh, yeah, they put me right in the center.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming to our workshop today. And the purpose of having why we put in a request to do a workshop is oftentimes when we're out in the community and people hear Mi'kmaq family, it's like even this morning we were like, ooh, the oh no corner, the oh no tables. But we wanted to take this opportunity to really to show how our agency is structured and how, you know, when you like for people who see or hear Mi'kmaq family, oftentimes they associate Mi'kmaq family with the child protection piece of it, in terms of just they come into the homes, they do the investigations, and they take the kids out of the home. But our agency is so much more to it than that. That's part of the work that we do. So we wanted to, and that's why there's so many of us here today, because there are so many departments within our agency, and we just wanted the opportunity to clarify and to give you guys a good description of what each department is, what their role and responsibilities are, and what are the different programs that are within our agency. And even though there's all of us around the table here, there are a lot more different programs, that we'll probably all be touching on because they were unable to come. But in your folders is, a package where it describes all the different programs that are within our agency. And we also wanted to talk about, some of the changes to the act and the duty to report. But just how, in regards to when information comes to the agency, how that flows out and how that kind of goes along the way. So, I want to introduce myself. My name is Kristen Basque, and I'm from Eskasoni, and I'm the supervisor of Wigmanage Gigmanach Family Group Conference, and I'll start.
I'm Dorothy Francis, I'm from number 2, and I work with I'm a kinship assessor with the adoption team. I also provide traditions of care training for foster parents, and presently today I'm also set up at the table doing recruitment.
I'm Lucinda Dispop. I'm the intake supervisor at the agency. I've worked with the agency for 11 years and always worked in protection. So I'm very happy to be here today.
Joanne said I'm from Poulette. I've been with the agency almost 21 years, and right now I'm the supervisor for temporary care and custody.
I'm Helen Doyle. I've been with the agency for 22 years. I am working right now supervisor of long-term protection, and I've been a social worker for 11 years for children in permanent care, and I began doing intake and long-term, so it's good to be here today.
Hi, my name is Gloria Gould. I'm a children and care worker. I'm from Eskasoni. I've been with the agency about 27 years now, so I work with kids that are in permanent care at the agency, so I hope I can help answer some questions today.
So normally when information comes into the agency that something is happening, or you know, if people feel like, oh, these children are at risk, or this family needs help, so when you call our agency, you're going to get Lucinda's department. So we'll start off with Lucinda because that's kind of the beginning of the story.
Okay. So, like Kristen said, when you call the agency and you're looking to make a report that a child is in need of services or protective services because you believe that they are being abused or neglected, or maybe you just know a family who could use a little bit of help right now, and things aren't going so well, so you would call and you would ask for intake. So the intake worker would come on the phone, or if you came up to the office, they would meet with you. And they're going to be asking you all kinds of questions. They're gonna ask you who, what, when, why, where, how, and then they're probably gonna ask you who, what, when, why, where, how, again, to what you've answered. And then they may ask you again, depending on how much information. It's a lot of information gathering. And I know we've been told that, you know, I just wanna say what I wanna say and be done. Why is there so many questions? But we, you know, we have to follow legislation in the province. And if we're gonna go into somebody's home, that's very intrusive into their life. So we wanna make sure that if we're needed to be in that home, then we have all the information and we're going. But we also wanna make sure if we shouldn't be there, it's the same way. Because we don't go on every call that we get, we don't go and investigate every single report that we get. Because it does have to fit a section of the legislation. It's called the Children and Family Services Act of Nova Scotia. So there is a specific section that, you know, if what you're calling has to fit into that for us to be able to go. So then we make a decision. The intake worker, myself, I may ask, you know, another intake worker, I might ask another social or another supervisor. We'll make a decision whether or not we think we need to be involved and go and start an investigation with this family. So no decision is ever made alone. I would never make a decision by myself. a worker would never make a decision by themselves. It's always in consultation with a supervisor and with possibly other workers as well. So once we've made that decision, if we make the decision not to go, that we shouldn't be in the home, that's it, it's done, it gets recorded on a computer, nobody ever really knows about it. If we make the decision to go, then we have to decide, how long of a response time do we give it? And again, there's certain things that require a more immediate response time, then there's certain things that we can let go a little bit longer. So once we make that decision, we then develop a plan about, what is it we're trying to find out. We need to try and find out what's happening in this family, but we need to also identify who are their supports, who can they lean on, who can we turn to ask for help for them, who can they turn to ask for help for them. So all of those kinds of things, I'm going really fast because we only have a little bit of time, so we're gonna try to identify what it is the family needs, and maybe we find out that they don't need anything and it's been malicious. Well, and if that's the case and that does happen, then we don't pursue it any further. But if they need, some help with services, if they have addictions issues, if there's violence in the home, those kinds of things, just as an example, we can recommend services to put in place for them. We can help get that set up. And normally, sometimes we can do that all in the span of the first 8 weeks and close the file at intake. If we think that it's gonna be a longer process and maybe, it'll take a little bit more time, then we can usually meet as a group. Myself, the worker, another worker, and another supervisor, and we'll have a meeting, we'll discuss all the findings that we made, and make a decision that, this family needs to, hi. I didn't know what to do, sorry.
I'm not here.
Oh, no, I'm blinded by the light. So, yeah, we make a decision that maybe, they need longer term services, so at that point, we would decide to open a long-term protection file, which would then be passed on to Helen's team with a long-term protection worker. Also at this stage, yes, people know that children do come into care. They could possibly come into care at this point in time as well if the risk is great enough. And if that's the case, the children would be transferred to somebody on Yvonne's team. They do have their own worker, and I'll let these ladies speak to that. But, that's not always the case. We really try to put services into place for the family so that we don't have to do that. That is really the last resort of what we want to do. Did I miss anything? Duty to report. Okay, so
You have the
in your packages,
Yeah.
there is a little pamphlet on duty to report. I'll mention it really quick. It's pretty simple, guys. Everybody has a duty to report. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. Everybody has a duty to report. As professionals, us included, there's a higher, the onus is higher. The onus is more on us to report. I'm sure that people have reported things or have thought about reporting things from this room. I don't know, but, as teachers, you guys see the kids way more than we ever would. You see them sometimes more often than their parents, right? Because parents are working, you guys all know what it's like today, so. So you guys are right up there with the parents to know what's going on with these kids. So your information really is vital to what's going on in a family's home or with a child. And that's why oftentimes we will come to you when we're doing an investigation and we'll say, hey, how's this little guy doing in school? And how's she doing in school? Are they coming to school tired, or, you know, like, whatever, how's their marks? Are they late all the time? Are there any issues? So we'll often, when we're doing an investigation, we'll ask those questions, right? Because you guys really you're vital to our investigation. But yeah, so everybody has the duty to report. The onus is higher on us as professionals. You know, it's pretty simple, really. I don't know what more to say about it.
Yeah.
But there is 3 pages in your package about duty to report.
So if a student missed like a high number of days, would that be my duty to report to?
Truancy really isn't a child protection concern. It hasn't been for a number of years. But, you know, truancy along with, say, and depending on their age too, right?
He's only 13, but he missed like
Right.
close to 19.
So I mean, I think, you know, you go to the parent first and you
I
try to
guess,
address that
yeah,
with
I
the
do know
parent.
that.
And is there anything else going on? Like, do you notice that when he is here, is he wearing the same clothes every day? Or is he complaining that he's hungry? Like, truancy alone really isn't a child protection concern, although every child does have the right
Because
to an education.
the last in-service, I thought they said that was a new thing, like, it wasn't that before.
What's that?
Just the attendance, you know, the high.
I think it's like kind of a combination
it'd
of
be
And
a combination.
if I understand, like, I have to report, and if I don't, like, I can be fined $2,000? It's a new thing, that's what they said at the last in-service.
Yeah, that by itself is not,
But I didn't wanna ask that question in
Right.
front of everybody, cause that was like a confidential,
right. So I would say that truancy itself is not a child protection concern, but if you're seeing other things, like indicators of neglect, coming to school hungry, coming to school tired all the time, you know, I'm just off the top of my head trying to think of like same clothes 3 or 4 days in a row, you know.
I mean, I think if you have concerns and you worry about a child, that you should call.
The best thing
anywhere.
to do
Yeah.
is to call.
when he was in class, you know, like, he's seemed a little mature than the other ones, like, it's grade 6.
Mhm.
He was always, trying to choke them
So there's behavior issues.
and, yeah.
So
So
like,
I mean, the best thing to, like Helen said, would probably be to call, talk to the worker. They're gonna ask you all kinds of those questions. So maybe we're gonna be able to flush out a little bit more that you haven't even thought of, right? And then we'll make a decision from there. If you're having any thought in your mind that you should call, then you should call. You know, don't not call.
So I don't have to go to Micmac Family and go do a report, I just call.
No, you can pick up the phone and call and just ask for intake. Or
And
you
on
can
your
come up and
pamphlet-
see us, whichever you want.
and on your pamphlets inside, you know, if anyone has any questions, or even kind of like you're not really sure, is this really something that they'll investigate? You know, Lucinda seems very willing to flush those out, and the numbers are there, and there's an after hours number. But just kind of like have a little idea we had this little flow chart where this is intake, where Lucinda just talked about, and she talked about the decision points and response times when she gets the information and the duty to report. So then, once that information, she finds out it's true, this information that was now received, and this family needs services, well then, she could probably start some of those services, then the file gets transferred over to long-term protection, and that's Helen, and Helen could talk more about that, just to kind of,
So once a file has been opened from intake, it's one of the most difficult times for families. They're, well, angry, embarrassed. Their file could be open anywhere from a minimum of 3 months. If they sign an early intervention agreement, saying that they'll do services to alleviate the risk to their children. Like, the issues that face some of our families are opiate addictions. substance abuse, alcoholism, and family violence. Those are the three big things that we have to be involved with because it really puts children at risk. So when a family is working, they can start out at an early intervention for 3 months. If it was determined that the risk is very greater, and they have to go to court because it's determined on what is the risk to the children. Like if the parents are heavily using drugs, or there's an extreme violent episode at the home and someone's hurt, then we may have to use more, and they refuse to do services. They might say, get out of my house, we don't want you here, so what if I use or drink or whatever. But we have a mandate to protect children, and we have to take people to court sometimes. And when we're in the court process, we have up to 18 months to hold a file. And that allows families and children to get services, have a period of sobriety, learn how to cope and deal with some of the traumas that they've had in their life, and to hopefully have a chance to get their family working together. Sometimes the children go into temporary care, so the family will have a long-term worker to help the parents to connect with services. The children, if they're in care, they have their own social worker, which takes care of the needs of the child. There's also foster parents that have a social worker for the kids. So they're like one family could have up to 5 social workers working with them. Sometimes in part of our treatment and plan for getting the family back together, because our mandate is to return the child to the parent after all services are completed, sometimes we make a referral to the family group conferencing program, and we sit together with the family, and we have a round table, and it might take all day, but we work on ways to support the family that's going through this really difficult time. Sometimes if opiates are the issue facing families, then it takes a long time to get off opiates. It takes, by the time that we're involved, they may have burned a lot of their bridges with their families, and people are afraid to, they don't know what to do. They don't know if they've been enabling their son and daughter to use, or they wash their hands after many years of being involved with trying to help them. So we come together with the clients' families and work at a plan that's going to help reunite the child with the parents. It's been very successful, family group conferencing for families, because it brings everybody to the table around what needs to be done. Long-term protection, we don't have a lot of time. We have only 18 months for families to complete programming, to maintain sobriety. During those 18 months, we would do random drug testing. We would encourage families to go to NA or AA. We would encourage families to go to family counseling, find ways in which to cope and to handle, their life situation better. In our department, we have 1 social worker for Wamacook, and I supervise that community. We have 1 worker in Waitagama, and I have 2 workers for Eskasoni because it is the largest area. So we try to work the best we can in the community that you live. We try very hard to keep children that if they come into care, that they stay in their own community and that they are with family. We do sometimes, if we're at the intake level and the children have to come into care at that time, we would be talking to the family and saying, is there someone in your family that could help you to take, your niece or nephew or your brother or sister, or, is there anybody that we can go and see? And that's when we meet with them, they give us a name, and we go to kinship care. We talk to Dorothy, and we ask Dorothy to, meet with the family and see what we can do to keep the children in the family, because it's very traumatic for children to leave their home, for children to leave their community, complete the services, which take quite a while to do. And for children, they don't have the same timeline as us. You know, for children, 1 month is very long, and for adults, it's not. So, I mean, we've had a lot of successful parents that have been going into either methadone or going to detox, going clean, learning about family violence, doing the tools program and addressing issues around family violence. And, you know, not everybody is thankful for what we do, but a lot of the clients will say, thank you, you helped us at a time which was really difficult, and that, you know, without you guys, I wouldn't have known what to do or where to go. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's good to see that people are, you know, getting healthy and clean and, you know, giving back to their own community. So unless you have any questions, go ahead.
Like what happens, are there ever instances where, for whatever reason, that it goes beyond the 18 months you mentioned, or parents
Well, if we're in court,
fall along the way and
Yeah.
need to restart?
after 18 months, we have to end our court involvement. And at that time, if the parents are not ready and have not demonstrated that they can, you know, take care of their children, either by being sober or doing programs. Sometimes people wait till the very last couple of months before their file closes, and then they wanna start doing their work that they need to do. And at that point, we have to meet as a team, discuss what's been done, and because the court has to end, we have to make a decision whether we're gonna go, to let the children go maintenance in custody with another family member, or they have to go into permanent care and custody of the agency. If they go into permanent care and custody of the agency, then after 6 months, the parents can apply to court to get their children back. So,
Oh, so it's, because I've heard that term before, that children have been placed in permanent care,
Yes.
and I thought that meant parents had no chance of ever having their children back.
after 6 months that a permanent care order has been granted, parents can apply for their children. They still have to demonstrate to the court that they've lived a clean and sober life, and that they're able to parent their children. They still will have to prove that on their own without the agency's support, so.
So sometimes, like, I know Helen has been talking and saying that, there's 18 months. That is the absolute maximum. And now, where we have changes to the new legislative act, we don't have that, a lot of time. They start, you know, I think we have 12 months, because they want, you know, because the goal is for permanency, like, stability for children, and to shorten the amount of time that they're in care of any agency. So all of those services that Helen talked about, and trying to assist families and assist, the ultimate goal of the agency is always to return the children to families, and to return to help build strong, healthy families. And sometimes, that doesn't happen in a matter of a year, or 18 months, or however long we have, because, you know, as we know and we see in our communities, addiction is, something that doesn't go away in just a little amount of time. So there are instances that we at our agency see where the parents are still struggling and are unable to care for their children. And so permanent care is often, like, you know, they start exploring, whether that's with family members, and sometimes that's not an option. So then we have the kids move into permanent care and custody. But like Helen was talking about everybody has their own worker. The kids have their own worker. The kids, so that's Yvonne's department, where she doesn't necessarily worry about the services that the parents are taking care of, because that's a long-term worker, focus on whatever services the parent needs and to get healthy and stronger. So in the meantime, Yvonne and her team will be dedicated to making sure that the kids are getting all their needs met if they have, and she could talk about that. I wasn't gonna get it.
Take over the whole
No.
thing. Okay, I gotta stand up because I can't see everybody over here. Sorry if I'm not in the view, but I probably am because I'm not that tall.
She just wants the shining light on you.
Yes.
Bright shining star over here.
Okay, so when a child unfortunately has to come into care, that's what we do. We get her from intake and long-term, and then I assign a worker for that child. Each child will get their own worker. If there's a family and there's like 3 kids, they will probably have the same worker, just to make it easy. Because usually we would try to place those 3 kids together, and hopefully we will get a kinship home. They'll go with auntie or uncle or cousin or godparent, you know, something like that. And for the most part, our kids are in kinship homes. Unfortunately, sometimes their behavior when they come in, their foster care is unable to support a placement in a foster home, and they need to go to either a specialized home or possibly even a group home. But for the most part, more than half of our kids are in kinship homes. So they would be with family, they're usually in their same community. And then once we establish that, we consulted with Dorothy, the kinship assessor, we set up the home, and they go there. Then the next thing we need to do is to set up access for our kids. When they need to see mom and dad, right? And if the kids are separated, they need to see their other siblings. Sometimes, actually, if they get in a different home, but they'll go to school, they'll see each other here at school. So you might see them like hugging extra, I think, like, oh, what's up with that? But hopefully, the intake worker has advised the school that they've come into care and now they're residing with a foster parent and update the school with that address. Sometimes everybody gets a bit busy and we kind of skip that step, but it's good. The school call and say, hey, what's up with these kids? They're saying they're on the wrong bus. And sometimes that happens if somebody moves from a bum way up to Castle Bay or something like that. Or
We're
teachers
working on it, I promise. We're working on it. We've been falling down.
Yeah. Or you'll notice the kid's not in and they've moved from Eskasoni and they're in member 2 now or something like that. But yeah, like she said, we're working on it and we're all working together, so hopefully we'll clear that up. And so once the kids are settled and they're having access and they're back in school somewhere, we want to set up and meet with the kids and ensure they're getting services. Whether they need to see a counselor for what happened with them, or they're having grief, loss issue, you know, whatever the case may be, we set up those services for them. Sometimes we have to meet with the school, you know, we'll get report that they need a psych ed or whatnot, or they're having difficulty in school because they moved, and the other kids might know they moved, and, you know, sometimes there's bullying that goes on in school, and we have to deal with that. And like they said, we could end up with a kid in temporary care for 18 months, or they could just be in care for 1 night. We've had that. We've had kids in care, unfortunately, from birth, some. And we've worked with the family and, you know, maybe they go home before the end of the 18 months, or they might go to permanent care or adoption, depending on what their story is and what's all involved. But, yeah, for the most part, and now the timeline is becoming shorter, and that's the changes to the act that's coming. The judges don't want to see kids in care that long anymore. You know, we don't want to see kids in care that long anymore. Nobody wants to see kids in care. I mean, you know, as long as we can work with the family and work with the kids and support the family, you know, that we can have a gradual return of the child to their home, you know, before that 18 months. Maybe after 3 months, maybe after 6 months. It's in the wrong room. Yeah, but, yeah, we will meet and develop a plan for the child, and we'll work with the child, and we'll hear and we'll have conferences with the long-term workers where the parents are in terms of getting the kids back, when we increase access, or if we have to decrease access, depending on the situation. And then ultimately, we would have either a decision to return home or go permanent care. And if we do get the decision to go home, we'll work on that plan and get the little one gradually returned home. And if the risk is for permanent care, then we will start to prepare our file for transfer over to permanent care, possibly adoption, or maybe someone else from the family would step up and we would go maintenance and custody. And if there's issues with the child for placement and whatnot, we would refer to family group conferencing. We'll set up a family group just for placement. We could have like 20 people in on that, aunties, uncles, mom's side, dad's side, whatever the case may be. And and with that, the family would come up with the best plan for the child or children. And we'll go from there. They've been quite successful, actually. Yeah.
So, like I mentioned, sometimes, a year is not long enough, or 18 months is not long enough. And so, in those instances where the goal was not reached in terms of reuniting family and children going home, and we have to look at having permanent care, so then all of that information is now transferred over to Gloria's team.
Permanent care means it's not permanent. Like, no, that word is just a word, like, but it's not permanent. When parents when kids come from Yvonne's team, we do a transfer meeting, and all the documents are done, and so we have a team of like maybe 6 or 7 workers at a time. We have a supervisor, and each of us workers has a caseload of at least about 9 kids each. So when we look at our caseload, so we do like all the services the kids need. We go to the school, we see like, if they need any counseling, if there's a court order saying there's access services available for these kids that are coming into permanent care, we set up access meetings. And if the family, like Chris is saying, like, the family can apply, like, if the kid was coming in permanent care for maybe a year or so, not even a year, they can apply to the court and ask for end of permanency, but they would also have to prove to the agency they have done these services, they have a stable home, they did this, they did that, and we as a team have to, and the child will have their own lawyer, like, we have our own lawyers, and the child will have their own lawyer too in court to present it. The child will talk to their lawyer and see what's going on, how are you doing in school, how are you doing in home, do you see your parents, blah, blah. It's a lot of like, footwork between the agency and the lawyers and the child and the family. and the family can come up and say like, oh yeah, we were doing good, and we would also approach Kristen to like do a family conference and see what services did the family do. So it's not permanent care like for the kids, but we do have kids up to age of 21, 19. They're seen as like they can still be out of care, set up an apartment, still go to school. We still support them until they're 21, but still like even after 21, they still can come. And if they decide like I don't want agency involvement, they still can go out on their own. But after 6 months, I think it's a 6-month timeline up. They can still apply back to our agency and say, oh God, I'm still having a lot of trouble. I want back in agency. I want you guys to support. So we still do, okay, we'll go back. We don't even have to go to court for that. At one time we used to, but now we don't have to. We don't have that timeline for court. We don't have to deal with it. The child you can come back to the agency and ask, okay, I need you guys. I can't stand on my own. I still need you. So we will go back and we will have support services going for this youth that's already been out of care. But we do a lot of support for our kids that are in permanent care, and we do assess, we have, if there's an assessment needed, boom. I think I would like to really mention on that, assessments, because most of the assessments now are done in the English language. And I always say that, I even told Kristen today, it's like, I would start saying like, we do our assessments, school does their assessments. I would really, like I've been always telling that to
teachers or to the principal, and we would like to have a First Nations person sitting, doing the assessment, or somebody that would be trained in the Mi'kmaq language to see like what's going on. Because it's a totally different thing, like when a child has two languages, that's been able to be fluent in Mi'kmaq and also be fluent in English, like, no. I can say Chuhuwe, like, they'll come and like, somebody could say, come here, and they would like watch, no, I don't wanna listen to you, like, they can just turn it off. I think that's one of our goals that we'd like to really see to particular in assessments.
So another part of, permanent care, well, children, they call it children in care now. We're kind of in between changing our language. So it used to be permanent care, and now, the team is children in care. So they also have within that, because we do see kids growing up in the care of the agency. You know, as much as the hard work we try to put into getting families, get the kids with families, get all of that, but sometimes, it's just not gonna happen. So we have, children that are in foster care, or even, still living with family, but still under the agency. And so they get to a point where, they're going to move into independent living and becoming young men and young women in our communities. So we have a program called the Independent Living Program that Diana Christmas runs, in partnership with, Children in Care, that, the young people that are getting to that age will be part of this, program, and we're trying to balance it because some of our, children may not have the exposure to the language or the culture. But we try to keep a balance of giving them that experience of, exposing them to the language and culture, but also giving them and trying to teach them the skills of living independently. So the program runs for a year, and so we started, this program that we have now, and we have children from the mainland and also in Cape Breton area that every 3 months we come together for a retreat so that we bring everybody together and they have a bunch of things that they do and we expose them to the culture and also all of that. But also in between that time, they are going to be participating in independent living modules. So it could be, our basic shelf, or teaching them budgeting, teaching them little things such as even laundry, or even how to apply for a job, or even when we don't even realize, because all our communities run very differently in terms of getting an apartment. In Eskasoni, it's a matter of bugging the landlord and saying, can I get an apartment? And it's not always the same in all our other communities, so then we try to assist them through that. So this is probably, 5 years, 6 years, that we had this program up and running, and that the children and care workers, as well as the independent living team, and family support, so we also have other departments, like we said, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, we got 10 minutes, so. I'd like to have Dorothy talk about, because she does recruitment, but we couldn't get representatives from foster care and adoption, so she's gonna do the whole shebang.
I'm the go-to person today, so, like the girls had mentioned, all their roles and with each department. I'm with the adoption and kinship assessment, and we consist of a supervisor and 5 other workers, and the foster care department has a supervisor and 5 other foster care workers. So as Lucinda had mentioned previously with the intake process and the decision to take a child into care, I work closely with them because they'll come up and mention, like, we have a family that, we have a child coming into care, is there anybody that is able to take this child or children into their homes? So our team would reach out to the families if there's no family available, because a lot of our foster homes are pretty packed to the max. And we're crying desperately for foster homes. That's why me and Chelsea Google were out there today with our little table, and our oh-no table. People see us and they're kind of like, oh, so went by. But like, we try to make it as less intrusive when the child, when the agency is involved with the family and the decision is to come into care, we try to make it less intrusive. If the children are already at a family member's home, we like to go in there and be less intrusive and do the assessment that is required so that the child would be still at that home. As a previous temporary care worker, it was difficult to see a lot of our children leave Cape Breton, go into the group homes, or move to another community because of the lack of homes. So we've been working very late hours or even on weekends because we understand that a lot of families are working families, so we make the initiative to work after hours, like 4:30 or, you know, on weekends, just so that we can get this paperwork done. Because our process is, when, say for example, Cinda's team had provided a referral for a family, the process is a police check and child abuse register that is initially required as a referral. We touch base with the family, and it is a lot of paperwork, and it is overwhelming for families, so I like to take the time to sit there with the families and do all the paperwork, because it is lengthy, and language is a barrier as well with families, so it's intimidating to see all this paperwork to be thrown at you for a home, and kind of scares off families as well. So we try to work on that to smooth the process, and give or take, depending on the police check and the references, those are our holdups. Because when people see McMahon family calling, they don't want to answer. That's when we're making our references. The police checks, people are afraid to kind of do the police checks because it's intimidating. You know, something could have happened previously in their younger days, and you know, they don't want anybody to kind of see that coming. So we try to talk with families and, you know, explain to them, like, if there's anything that, you know, you need to disclose to the police station, you know, it's okay, let it known. So that, you know, sometimes we run into an issue with fingerprint required, and that's just because somebody has the same name, same birthday, so fingerprint is required, and that's a lengthy process as well. So that scares off families too. So I work also with long-term. Long-term will provide me another referral. Say for example that the emergency placement was only temporary and we needed a little longer placement. So they would send me a referral and ask me to touch base with the family. And we get a lot of our recruitment with families because, say for example, I spoke to one individual and I like to ask them, like, who are your supports in the family? You know, is there anybody else that's available that, say, you needed respite care or you needed a break? You know, who else can we touch base? Because it is overwhelming to have, you know, this additional placement, because, you know, sometimes, like the girls have mentioned, that there is a burnout with families. You know, families are, you know, fed up because they felt like they enabled and are like walking away. But we like to try to put those additional supports in the family so that the children stay within their own communities. So I also work with permanent care too, so that, well, first of all, temporary care. When the timeline runs out and the child is being transferred to permanency planning, I'm involved with the permanency planning as well, because some of our family homes are only for a short-term basis, which is only temporary care. And the families had said in the beginning that we're not here for the long term. So we seek out families again that who are able to provide the long-term placement for these children. So I'm involved with the temporary care, and then we go with the permanent care. I touch base with them later too, because, you know, the plan for permanency planning could be exiting care or adoption. And again, you know, we work closely with the adoption and see if we can find a forever home, we like to call it. So
just kind of jump in, because we got 5 minutes, and we got 5 more departments.
And question. So, Dorothy does a lot throughout the whole agency in terms of trying to open up homes and look for foster homes. And foster parents are also, not only when they're set up, they're also given a bunch of training and support, if they had high needs children that are coming into their homes, the support is given and training is being offered. So we have the foster care team, like we have the intake, we have long-term, we have TCC, we have children in care, we have kinship and adoption and foster care. We also have the independent living. We also have family support workers, and they're the ones that do the nitty-gritty down in the dirt kind of stuff with the families. So they do the connections and being the support people for them, doing programming with them, domestic violence. And there's a whole, in your booklet, it talks about all the programming, and also the Case Aid program where we offer the transportation to the access and the facilitation if they needed someone to support that. We also have what we call family and community healing, which is in the community, all those programming that are being offered by, because family support is for families involved with Mi'kmaq Family and Children's Services. Family and Community Resource put on these same programs in each of the communities, and it's open to anyone in the communities to come. So they have a lot of programs such as To Be Boys, To Be Girls, Fem Power, and basic shelf cooking. So they do a lot of that community work constantly in all 13 of the communities.
They just did Women's Appreciation Day just after Mother's Day in Poulette.
And you may recognize the workers are Wilma Simon and Norman Sillaboy and Julia Gale are the ones in the Cape Breton and Bahanka area. Then you have Darlene Copeland and Brooke Copeland in the mainland. And last but not least, I should say my program. I got 2 minutes. I could have spent 2 hours talking about Wigmanech Gigmana. And in what the name of the program is, basically in a nutshell describes what it is. It's when, because Helen had mentioned, when we are working with our families, shit has hit the fan and they're at a very low point in their life. They feel very alone. They feel like, everybody's after me, or whatever they're feeling. It's not always a good feeling when you have one of Lucinda's teams knocking on the door. Or just that whole, it's sometimes very difficult. So with our program, we look at it as, let's all come together and try to figure this stuff out, because I strongly believe, and we all around this table, because these ladies use the program very regularly, believe that the answers lie with family. They have the answers. They know themselves the best. They know who's good, who's not good. They know who may take the children if it happens that the children have to come into care. But if the plans are coming from them and saying, you know what, this counseling and this stuff does not work for me. I live very spiritually. I live, I believe in my Mi'kmaq spirituality. Well, then let's shape that and say, well, let's try to figure out, is there someone in your community, or who do you want to come? And the way it's done is in a talking circle. And we come together because, like, all of us here, probably this whole presentation was kind of like, what? Which department? What do they do? Well, imagine having to be involved with us and having to work with Dorothy and every single department. And Helen's making a plan, and Yvonne's team is making a plan, Dorothy, everybody's making plans, and then I always describe it as, we're all heading to Maine, and no one's communicating with one another. There's 100 different ways to get to Maine, but we don't have a plan in place. Our goal is for all the children to go home to families and to build strong, healthy families. But how much more work we could get accomplished if we were doing it together. And that's what we're trying to do, is bring all the different departments to say, like, what's going on? Because every person that's involved has a piece of the puzzle, and we won't know the bigger picture unless we all come together and say, you know what, this is what I see. And a lot of times, you know, I remember having a really big family group conference, and the family were like, I knew this was coming, and I knew this was gonna happen, but I was looking the other way. Well, now we keep the children in the center of our circle and say, you know, it's easy to get caught up in, I want this, I need this, but we really need to speak the language of the kids when we're all coming together and say, what do the kids need? What do they need to happen in order for them to wake up every morning and feel safe and feel like today is a good day? How can we all come together, and not just as agency? When we're coming together in a family group conference, it's not just agency. It's teachers, it's principals, it's the health center, it's the band office. Anyone who has a vested interest in this family and wants to make this family be part of making them healthy and strong, well then we all come together and say, what are we gonna do now? How do we, you know, walk with this family in their journey of healing and making them stronger? So that's what we're trying to do when in our program of We Manage Gigwana. And it's not the Wiki program, and I told everybody, you gotta learn how to say it, We Manage Gigwana. And because that's what we're doing. We're calling on Gigwana, could mean your blood family, but it could mean Gigwana, like Belinda could be my Gigwana and Bahanke. You know, we're all kind of connected, and it's all our relations, and we're all coming together because at the end of the day, we are working with the same people, the same families, the same communities, and doing it collaboratively, gets stuff done. So, I mean, there's a lot of good work involved when Mi'kmaq families. So, in the beginning, a lot of people may have thought, well, you know, Mi'kmaq family is involved in doing the investigation and taking kids, but there's so much more work being done that that isn't always seen that way in terms of the family and community. You know, all the work that Dorothy puts in. You know, some nights she doesn't get home till midnight because we're all trying to work towards the same thing: healthy families. So, well, and that's it for me.
I have a question. What is duty to report third-party abuse?
So that's like when it's ULDA, when you're like, you don't have direct, well, I'll let Lucinda, because that's her area.
So third-party abuse means that it's somebody other than a parent or guardian. So, I'll use myself as an example. So if my little boy was physically abused by his uncle, that would be a report of third-party abuse. Like if his uncle, say, smacked him across the face, left a big bruise, whatever. Like that's a third-party abuse situation. Somebody other than a parent or guardian.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, Calvin, your school is incredibly successful. Your school is one of a kind in Canada. And I want you to share your guys' journey with anybody who's going to listen, because it's not my right to keep our successes and our journey to ourselves if it can help other people in other schools. So with that said, I told her that I would do it. I would do the presentation and share to everyone what we have done at our school. 2 days later, I agreed. I texted her and I said, take me out. Because I haven't done this in a very long time. But I'm glad I stayed on. And, I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Calvin Stevens. I'm the phys ed teacher and the culture teacher at the Eskasoni Immersion School here in Eskasoni. So, that's it. I'm going to put my class clown on the spot, and I'm going to ask Mr. Chief Leroy Denny to say an opening prayer just to get our...
Let's bow our heads and close our eyes. You are in this time. That this can do an amen. You might be like, also my payment to that, Poulette.
Your pedagogy and what you do in the classroom is is heavily impacted by your school environment. Now, my school environment, we have a very supportive staff. When we first began our journey last year, we really didn't know what we were doing. It was a new school, a new immersion school. Nobody had done it before. And so we really didn't know what we were doing. We were just winging it most of the time, right? And so, but the staff there was very supportive of one another. And when we took children from classes and we took them to culture activities such as the Gojwa dance, the teachers understood. When we canceled classes, they understood. When we interrupt their classes and pull kids out, they understood. As long as they saw that the kids were happy. And when the kids did something or performed somewhere, you could always see the next day that the teachers' heads were a little bit higher and they were smiling because they were so proud of their students. And it just makes me proud to be part of a school environment that is like that. The staff had, a little nervous here, I'm sorry. The staff has a mutual respect of one another, and they listen to one another. There's nothing more devastating to a person's self-confidence and their effectiveness if they're in an environment where they feel that nobody cares or nobody listens or they think that their opinion doesn't matter. But at our school, we have a staff meeting every Monday. Every Monday, we have a staff meeting in the morning. And we talk about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. We throw out some crazy, wild ideas, but everybody's idea is heard. And because of that, everybody feels like they're part of the team. And it's just so humbling to be in an environment like that. You're part of the team. You're important just like everybody else. And during these staff meetings, we typically plan out our month. And so we know what we're going to do the month after. But last year was the first year. We kind of knew what we were going to do this year. The staff helps one another. When I first started teaching culture, the first month in September, I had no idea what I was doing. I had zero cultural knowledge. Growing up, I didn't participate in my own culture very much. So first month, what I did in the culture class, and the kids probably here will tell you, is I told stories that my grandfather used to tell me. And I was surviving based on that. And if I had a coloring, I would give them a coloring. I would tell them stories about Glooskap. And we would talk about Glooskap and how they felt, but I was quickly drowning in my own BS. So the teachers came together and they helped me. Gail and Angie taught me how to do activities and games with the kids that are age appropriate with them, because I had never taught kids these age. Cindy, Doreen, they pulled me aside and said, Calvin, try this. Calvin, try that. Calvin, here's a lesson plan. Jolene came to my rescue, and she helped me translate a lot of the stuff that I wanted to translate and start our drum group. So she's the main reason why the drum group is where it's at today. It's because of Jolene Denny. Carol Ann, always a good shoulder to talk to. When you're freaking out and you want to cancel your presentation, she would be the person that I would call, or a person that I would talk to. But it's a place where if you need help, you don't even have to ask for help. You're going to get help. And the leadership. Niganus. The leadership in our school plays a heavy role in our pedagogy, because this woman that we work under, we really don't work under her. She works with us. And she encourages us to take risks. And it's so liberating when you have a leader, rather than tap you on your shoulder and say, okay, you did good. You're going to stay there, but you did good. Thank you. This woman encourages us and takes us and sets us free and sets us flying into the air and wants us to succeed and wants us to experiment with new things. So when you have a leadership that way, it encourages you to try even harder, to think outside the box, to bring new ideas to the kids. And when you have a school environment like this, a supportive staff, a staff that listens to you, a leadership that encourages risk-taking, the people that succeed and benefit from this, yes, you do too, and the staff does, but the children benefit the most. And so when you think about your practice in pedagogy, and when you go to St. Effects and all that stuff, you have to live it. And in that environment there, we certainly live it. Okay. One of the first things that we had to learn is some of these kids have very limited language skills. Okay? And so what we did is we incorporate language in the classroom. Okay? I know there's a lot of young kids and there's a lot of old kids all coming into our school new, and they're coming from environments where their parents or their grandparents might speak regular English to them. And we understand that. So what we do is we encourage them to speak Mi'kmaq by asking us what this word means. So we don't punish them if they speak English, but rather we encourage them and make it out of a game to speak their own language. So this is a little video of it. It's just a couple second clip where we're playing a game. We're playing a game, but language is teaching moment.
No, no, do it. Deck this guy, do on. Ready, are you? Sky, there you are. Now, do we move? Deck this, do on. Hey, girl. I do that, go on. Do we move?
You might think that's easy. Try keeping up with a bunch of kids this age all day long. It's not easy, I'll tell you that. But you see how I use language? And I just encourage them to speak the language. And I'm trying to associate speaking the language with fun. And because You're not an instructor. I don't care how many times people have told you that. You're not an instructor. You're a guide. Your pedagogy should be on the foundation that you're a guide and you're only guiding these people, these young children, to their own knowledge. Because if we start thinking that we are instructors and we are teachers, then we're pushing our beliefs and our lessons, and we're just basically downloading into a computer. But these aren't computers. They're living human beings. So you have to let them learn on their own. And as a guide, you just recognize how to push them a certain way so they can learn on their own. One of the things that we do in our phys ed classes is our warm-ups have to be culturally relevant. So we always dance the powwow music at the start of our classroom. We do jumping jacks. We have Gojua foot races, where it's a variation of the Gojua dance. You go around in a circle. With the Gojua race, we have kids standing on one side. I start drumming, or the children start drumming, and the music stops, you stop. If you don't stop, you're out. You're back to the start. Whoever's the winner is the winner, right? Whoever gets, so you can see all these kids here going, and they're just going in a straight line, right? Trying to beat each other. So it's amusing, it's crazy, and I do it too, because as a guide, you have to practice what you preach. If you're too shy, and if you don't do things, and if you don't experiment too, the students are going to pick up on that, and they're going to say, wait a minute, my teacher doesn't do it. Why should I? And I did that in math. In math, when I first landed the grade 6, the grade 8 teaching position, I did that. I pretended I knew. And the kids tell me, no, that's not right. When I gave a certain number, right? The answer of a math problem. Don't argue with me, that's the right answer. Check my phone calculator. That person was right. No, how did you get to that answer? I started drilling them, right? And imagine, as an adult, if somebody did that to you, how would you feel? How deflated your self-confidence would be if that happened. So, don't do that. That's the worst thing you can do. I've learned my lessons, and I won't do it again, hopefully. Growing up, I grew up with Leroy, there was no real celebration of our culture. We went through a review. We first went to the school system here, where it's primarily English. There was no real celebration of our culture. So we had I don't know about Leroy, but I had a deflated sense of self-confidence, and a deflated sense of self. And then being uprooted and transferred to a non-native school, high school at Riverview, where the first comment I got was, think before you talk, because I had really bad broken English, was devastating to my self-confidence. Because we didn't have any role models. We didn't celebrate our culture. But this school right here is the basis of celebrating our culture. We do it every day. We live it, we breathe it. And imagine what these kids are going to achieve once they graduate from a school system that celebrates who they are. They're not going to go out into the world with the baggage me and Leroy had growing up in a system like that. Imagine the advantage that these children are going to have and what they can accomplish. Growing up, me and Leroy were like, our mainstream was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's where we got our ideas. That's how everybody in Riverview acted. We're walking around like gangsters. with our leg broken or something, our pants hanging down. We're our jacket, we high-five each other going, See, that was our role models, right? We were pretending to be somebody else because that's what mainstream celebrated. But now we don't have to. So here's a bunch of my kids from last year doing the Joanne dance just as a warm-up. As you can see, their faces, it is very physically demanding. Over here, some more of my kids doing the Joanne dance. Over here, we're doing the Guadalupe dance at the Goat Island. They're really, really surprised that we can actually do these dances just on command. And the kids, it's amazing. You have kids, they don't pretend to be Fresh Prince anymore. They're pretending to be themselves. They're pretending to be grass dancers in the playgrounds. And that's, you don't see that, but I do. I mean, look at the smile on the girl's face. I mean, you can tell she's really enjoying herself. Authentic learning happens when you're enjoying yourself. Over here, some of my drum group kids practicing their dances. And you can see the little girl in the back. I mean, she's clearly enjoying herself, and she's clearly learning at the same time. And I can't stress enough. What I said a few minutes ago, you can't just tell your kids what to do. You have to tell them what to do and show them. Because, like I said earlier, your kids are going to pick up on that. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, then they're not going to do it. Doesn't matter if you're a math teacher, social science teacher, a language arts teacher. You have to forget this concept that you should be the answer to everything. You're not there to be the authority, or you're not there to be a god. Basically, this is a lot of teachers see themselves as that. They're a god, and they're the almighty knowledge base. But you're not. You're a guide. And so, when you leave here today, hopefully you go back to your teaching environments and tell the kids. And the first thing that my breakthrough was, hey, I don't know this math. Maybe I can make it fun. And we did. And I had to relearn grade 6 math. And it was embarrassing. I didn't know my fractions. I do now. But I didn't then. And but you have to admit that to the kids. And when you admit that to the kids, hey, Mr. Stevens don't know his fractions or his times tables. It's okay for me. Maybe we can learn together. Mr. Stevens can do it. I can do it. So take that home with you when you go home. Okay, here's another activity that we do to warm up with, and it's walk like different animals. And I didn't know how to say crab and Mi'kmaq. I had to, so just so happens we have a resource center right next door to my classroom. Pop out, pop in, ask them what it is, pop out, pop back in, and tell the kids it's this. So over here you can see the kids. Sorry about the sound. People might think I'm making these kids crazy or something, but we have fun. We laugh. I do that too. The field with us, I should do it. One of the other things that we do Might be that Indian bug, I don't know. Okay, so I found this. It's culturally relevant, it's modern, kids watch it, it's already come to with a video. And it's music that they like. Beat. So the kids are watching this, they're listening to music that they can relate to, and your practice has to relate to them. You have to make things relevant to them. And so if I turn on powwow music every day, all day, do you think they're going to pay attention? No. I have to find things that are stylish. I have to guide them and encourage them. Once they see this video, I don't have to teach them nothing. Which is very encouraging because I can't teach them how to hoop dance anyway. So what I do is I grab a whole bunch of hoops and I throw them on the floor. And kids, basically, they go all out. They are in their heads. They are hoop dancers. They're doing moves. But most importantly, they're having fun and they're learning. And another thing is we're building a foundation to their self-esteem and their self-identity. That's what it is that we're doing. And so, when you look at these pictures, I mean, kids are having a good time. I don't care. Oh, well, she's focused right there. We call this Chitamo. World. This is African design. There's a man. Which I had. I didn't expect this. Kids will put anything in their mouths. I told them that next time they do that, maybe we should get a cloth and wipe it down first. So, and here's the kids. So here's the last slide in case she's having fun. And here's just a video of them. Just going all out. Just going in, having fun.
Hey, guys, first round, let's get four. Oh, let it get you. Oh my God, I'm outside you. Hey, guys, oh, kid and move there. Hey, Kala, apa Mary, apa move. Oh, up there. Okay, I feel fantastic now. Cast the leg up there. Okay, that. I can't tell where, so whenever I look at it, I call it my mother. Okay, I'll come up. Hey, Joanne, is your mother or Japa? Mother or kitchen, mother or kitchen? Okay, Jeremy. Yeah, I'm coming. Okay, you got Mother Earth. Mother Earth. Oh, okay, we got Mother Earth. Yeah. Oh, nasade, naspunjet. Nasade, good. Oh, okay, Mother Earth here. This come. Okay, there we go, yeah.
Okay, so surprise here for you today. I have some of my kids, my main hoop dancers, and they're going to do a little hoop dance for us. Ready, yo? Hoop dance no barok, get you down. Tete alu no barok is a nadia. Tete, okay. Yeah, I know what I mean. Okay. Bueno, when you watch that, and you see me smiling, that wasn't me a few years ago. Everybody loses their why in life every once in a while. You lose why you get up in the morning, why you go to work, why you do anything. Pretty soon it just becomes a paycheck. That's all it is. And who suffers? It's the kids. And that's where you have to think about your pedagogy and think about your practice. What am I doing wrong in life? What am I doing that's right? Because if I'm unhappy, my students are going to be unhappy. And so now, when I get up to go to work, that's my practice. That's my belief. I'm going to go out and have a good time with my kids. And who benefits from that? I benefit mentally of loving my job, but My people benefit because I'm building a strong foundation for these kids. And I'm not building a strong foundation. They're building their own strong foundation by learning, by having fun while learning. One of the other things that we do is we learn about archery in our school. When we first started thinking about this, I was thinking about the liability issues. I was thinking about, oh God, what if a kid spears another kid? I was thinking about, oh God, what am I going to do here? Oh well, it was a first good 2 months of work. If I get fired, somebody gets hit with an arrow, I'll be fired. It was a good 2 months. But it was important for us to use a traditional sport, and archery is one of them. We did lacrosse too, but archery we did first because our people used the bow. They made the bow. A bow was a part of their lives. And so when we have kids participate with the bow, we teach them all about the rules and the lessons. And it's okay to have them sitting down and listening because they want to listen then. Because if they don't get to touch the bow. So they're going to listen, sit down and listen, and do what you tell them to do. And you have to be the judge. If you can't control somebody, well, maybe they got to go over there. But the kids, you can see her face. I mean, the focus. It's a little grin on her face. She doesn't want to be too overly happy because she's enjoying what she does. And she's having fun while she's learning to shoot the bow. What happened there? Oh, you know how to do this dance? Do it. And this is a story, it's on YouTube. It's a story how we had moose, and then we lost the moose because we started to value values that weren't First Nations, such as overhunting, selling pelts for profit. Eventually we lost the moose. And we got the moose back because of a conservation project with Joanne and with Maine. The moose we have at the Highlands now are Maine moose. They came from Maine. But the legend goes is the Creator gave us the moose so we wouldn't be hungry. But He warned us, if you disrespect the moose and if you overhunt and you abuse it, then it won't be there anymore for you. And so our people suffer because there was no moose literally 40, 50 years ago in the Highlands. It's an introduced species. So these are lessons that the kids have to go through in order to do archery. And so once they go through all the lessons, the safety lessons, the lessons on the moose, they get to take that and apply it to an actual skill that's fun. And so with this child right here, this is my nephew, by the way. He's taking the bow. I took my phone, I put it on the target, and I said, I gotta get this video for the presentation, but if he smashes my phone, I'm out of phone. Oh well, we'll see what happens. And so he just... You'll play it once. Kids love words. I school lessons on them. Safety glasses. Kids have to be downrange. These are just things that you have to learn.
The elbow back, all the way back. Whoa! That's what I was
You wanted to just...
Yeah, be with them now.
You can't do that with them, right? We do a lot of stuff, right? We do some basket making. And this Mother's Day, we had baskets made, or the children made their baskets, helped make their baskets, and every mother of a child that's going to that immersion program took home a little Mother's Day gift of a basket that they helped make or they made by themselves. Because we're dealing with ages from primary to grade 4, right? You don't expect a primary kindergarten student to make their own basket. You have to help them. You have to guide them. We're not simply there just building the basket ourselves. Because are they going to learn anything? No. It's just like me talking up here and you guys just listening. This is what teachers do in the classroom. They talk up there, they're the professionals with all the information. They point when somebody answers a question that they think is wrong, you're wrong. And if a student confronts them if the teacher's wrong, well, hell to pay there. But these are the little baskets that we made. And we made it age appropriate. Here's Waltes being really focused. He was going to help out make the basket and weave in and through. So we have mastered our skills, our dexterity skills. So what we do is we hold the basket for them, and they weave the basket through. Of course, we don't play with kids play with scissors, so we do that part. Over here, you can see an example of slightly older kids, and they have a little bit more dexterity in their hands. But they're learning to play. They're learning and they're playing and they're having fun. And that's the most important part. And here's another little girl that I was holding the basket for her while she weaved in and out. And this was the time that I was showing her how to do that. And you can see him. This is not just he's doing the same thing. Here's Jason. Building his own basket. And you see the focus, the grin on their faces, they're actually enjoying themselves. Here's a video on how we play with us making the basket. And as the kids grow older, they get more dexterity in their hands. They built their own baskets. And it was a long process, but we got it done. The snake dance. Okay? We've done the Bourgeois dance last year. That was last year's focus. This year's focus was a snake dance. So, with the snake dance, the grin on one of my students' face. I basically have to give the drum to the kids, and they start singing. We're at that point now. But the kids have so much fun with this, and I think we can have fun with it too, because there's so long you can sit. So I'll show you some pictures of the kids just having fun with the snake dance. Here's a prime example of the kids teaching themselves, and they're taking ownership of their own learning. Again, I was just off to the back of her. I was the guide. And once a bird flies, you don't want to swat them down and discourage them. You let them go and you let them fly. So this girl just picked up the drum on herself, started banging away on it, started singing a song. And I'm not going to go, hey, you're not right, give me that drum. It's my job to drum. Can't do that. So we're going to have these little kids. They're going to be the leaders of our lineups. So you have to follow right behind them if you want to volunteer. So this is the head of our snake. It's a little short. So 1 minute. Yeah. Kids are the boss. Remember, you're the guy. You get it? Okay. So Mars is the head of the snake. She controls the head of the snake. Okay. So she's going to move as a snake. And so can I get some volunteers to follow her?
That's why I'm asking.
And be part of the snake? Come on. You've been hearing me talk. Oh, do it. Yeah. You've been hearing me talk for too long. About time you get up and do something.
You do it.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Not do it.
This year that went by, we started a drum group in the school. Mr. Stevens ever been on a drum group? Mr. Stevens can't drum, don't know songs. We did it together. Practice what you preach. Do what you're gonna do. And don't be afraid to say that you can't do it. Kids will appreciate it much more. And if you learn with them, you learn with them, you grow with them. My kids have performed in Member 2, kids have performed CBU. My kids they're performing here. This was a new bunch of kids, by the way, because I have to get the new kids ready, because my veterans, my core group is leaving me this year, so we're going to this school. So they're leaving their drum teachers behind. But I didn't know how to drum to begin with. Don't be afraid to admit something. If you don't know the math problem to something the kid asks you, don't act like you know it. Just say, I don't know. Let's find it out. Okay? This is the parachute game. One of the things that we wanted to do is give the kids spirituality. And you get spirituality in a sweat lodge. But a sweat lodge with teeny little kids isn't the safest thing to do. You can't jam-pack a whole class of 20 kids in a sweat lodge because, face it, there's some health risks there. We got hot rocks, you got steam that can burn you, plus you got liability issues. It's pitch dark. So what we did is we developed our own little spirituality in the classroom. That's meaningful and enjoyable and fun for them. And so, with our closing, we're going to sing the honor song, but I'd like to ask as many volunteers as we can to come over here and participate in our closing. Kids, everybody. And this is our parachute. This is our outdoor parachute, and we use it outside. Pick it up aside. Okay. And I encourage, there's a lot of handles here, so grab a handle, that's the center. That's the center. That's the center. Grab as many handles as you can. Yeah. And what we do is we fill all the handles, we raise up the parachute up in the air, we step in, and we put the parachute behind us when we sit down on the ground. Okay? We still got a couple of handles there. We still one handle. Get one more volunteer, please. I need two more volunteers. I'm sorry. We got another handle there. One more handle, in. Okay. One more. Okay, so I teach my kids that the Sweat Lodge is a spiritual place. They respect it. And that this is a representation of our Sweat Lodge. But it's age appropriate for them. Okay, so what I do is it's a listening game to lift, step in, pull behind, sit down. Oh. Yeah. Everybody come. Yeah. Ready, you right? Get me there, money. 1, 2, 3. Get me there, money. Don't take down no thing. Nigga wants to get mommy done. Get me there, money. Down where the big so deep. Nigga wants to get on my duty. Get on my duty. Don't get so very loud. Say, will I see some? Away, hey, yo. Away, oh, hey, hi, away, oh, hey, oh, hey, hi, away, oh, hey, hi, away, hey, hi, away, oh, hey, hi, away, oh, hey, oh, hey, hi, away, oh, hey, hi, away, oh, hey, hi. Sonoma. Thank you. Thank you for participating and listening to me.
That was a good sweat.
Question, comment. If you have any questions, I'll put that away there.
That was a good presentation, Calvin.
Any questions or comments that we do in the school? Okay, Gil.
All right, just so y'all know, anybody who don't know me, I'm not a Mi'kmaq, I'm white. I'm a parent of half Mi'kmaq children, half white children. I just learned Mi'kmaq, I'm just learning about the culture. So just so you know it. Now, this is playoff hockey time, huh? And for all those of you that are high in the hockey, anyway, I'm in my basement watching hockey. Raining, and all I can hear upstairs is noise. A noise. I'm trying to watch the game. Noise. Turn off the heat. Listen. Up I go up the stairs, and I hear my triplet and their brother making noise in their room. So I sneak down to see what they're doing. I said, one drum, another one check, one dance. So I'm happy that they go to this school because they're learning their culture, a culture I cannot give them because I'm not that's not my culture, but it's their culture. And I'm so happy that they have the opportunity to go to an immersion school that teaches them culture. Their teachers, the chief, the counselors, and the community elders that are teaching them basket making, dancing, drumming, chanting, things I can't give you. So thank you, Mr. Stevens, Leroy, and all of Eskasoni for giving our children this.
Anybody else? Any comment what you do? Walter, what's your question? Comment? Good. Do another one. If anything, if you leave here knowing that, please build a strong foundation, self-identity and self-esteem for your kids. Okay? That's your basic. Play, have fun, and learn while you're doing it. See you guys.
Let's go. Let's go. Okay, ikatin. Yeah, do we?
Oh, yes, no problem. Yeah, thank you, guys. High five.
Can we throw me here? We stop it up.